Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of your Frederish podcast. My name's Gary, and here I am once again. So just don't wait too much to go grab your cup of coffee, beer, juice, whatever it takes for you to relax, and join me in this interesting conversation. And not only interesting, kind of an important conversation, maybe not for now, but certainly for the future. That is, are we going to be, as humanity, of course, able to move to other planets, say Mars or Venus or Jupiter or anywhere outside Earth or even the moon? Yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about today. And why is it so important? First of all, ladies and gentlemen, it is because, well, it is known to science that our planet will get destroyed one day, of course, millions or even billions of years in the future. And maybe this will get to be a way for humanity to survive, okay, to keep going. Yeah, that's I cannot put it any more obviously and more any simpler, yeah, than that. And that's it. So let's get started. Come on. Well, since it's an English teaching podcast, right? The main purpose here is for you to get a practice some English listening, um, and of course to learn new things, and more importantly to learn new words. Okay, how about we get started by talking about the planet, our neighboring planets, neighboring quote unquote, right? Our neighbor planets, the planets of the solar system. All right, do you know them in English? Maybe you don't even know them in Portuguese, but yeah, if you get to know them in English, you certainly will know them in Portuguese, but maybe not vice versa, right? So let's get started. First of all, this one of the smallest one today, Mercury. Mercury, it is the closest to the sun, right? The sun is in the center of the solar system. I know technically it's not in the center, but yeah, let's just make it less technical and more popular conversation here, right? So Mercury, and then after we have Venus. Okay, interesting fact about Venus is that it is almost the size of our planet, of Earth, but of course the conditions there are totally different. It is, despite of the fact that it is the second closest to the sun, it is the hottest. Okay, so it is hotter than Mercury. Okay, and why is that? It is because, if you're curious about it enough, it is because Venus's atmosphere is so thick. Okay, there's so much gas around it that it kind of works as a creating oh my god, I forgot the term now. A greenhouse. Okay, it becomes a greenhouse. We talk about the greenhouse effect here on Earth, the CO2 emissions and everything, global warming. But there is really a global warming. I mean, the comparing, right? Of course, it's not even fair to comparison, but you get the point, right? So it is so hot, and also because of that, it is so dense inside that when they first send a probe, oh, we're learning new words here, right? Do you know what a probe is? And when we talk about space, when we talk about NASA, and we talk about space missions, a probe, PROBE, is what do you call that in Portuguese again? Just give me a second, guys. Sonda. Okay, in Portuguese we say sonda, all right? Me personally, years ago, I remember thinking that sonda was a because of the name sonda, right? Like sound, like a wave, like a signal. maybe there is something related to that, but when you hear this word probe in English, sonda, in Portuguese sonda, in English probe, we're talking about small robots, right? Small, yeah, let's call it robots, that get sent, small satellites, like that get sent to places. All right. So the first probes humanity sent to Venus literally got smashed inside of it before even touching the ground. Okay, tremendous is the density of the planet. Again, I am just bringing curiosity facts here for you guys. But let's keep moving. Third planet, yeah, we know this planet very well. It's our big baby here, Earth, Gaia for the closest ones, for the close friends. Of course, it's not a place that we consider moving to because, spoiler alert, we're already here, aren't we? Yeah, we are. So, and after, of course, Mars. Who doesn't know the 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 red planet, the so much talked about, all the movies, all the fantastic literature when it comes to going to planets talks about Mars, right? And it's not senseless because right now the only planet we have a minimum chance of conquering, right, moving to, building place houses there, living there, is Mars. Okay, and why is it? Because it is not so smaller than Earth. Okay, it is like considerably smaller than Earth, but it is not that small, so it is small enough for us for people to establish there, to walk. Of course, we would be way lighter on Mars than we are on Earth. And here's an interesting English learning piece of information. The preposition we use when we're talking about being in planets is on. All right. So on Earth, on Mars, on Mercury, on. Okay. All right. So when you are on Mars, when people get to be on Mars, we're gonna be way lighter than we are here on Earth. For example, if you're 60 kilos, for example, heavy, on Mars, you will be something like 35, 37 kilos, all right? It's way lighter, right? It will be much easier for you to bench press in there. Anyways, and after Mars, we have, oh my God, Jupiter. Yeah, Jupiter, the biggest planet. So here's the end of you see there's a pattern, right? The first Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, the first 4 planets are solid planets, like our planet, like the others, that they have a solid surface. And as of after Mars, there's only gas planets. Jupiter is one of them. Okay, so it is ginormous, gigantic planet, the biggest in the solar system. And after Jupiter, we have Saturn, the one with the rings, okay, around it. Yeah, this is Saturn. Then Uranus, after Saturn, is also a gas planet, also gigantic, smaller than Saturn, smaller than Jupiter, of course, but still way bigger than our planet. Then Neptune, after Uranus, Neptune, right? And then there used to be a planet called Pluto. Okay, if you're young enough, you won't even have, seen anything in the books, in school books. But there used to be a planet as small as Mercury. Okay, I think the same size as Mercury, if memory serves me well. But it's been 7 years, 8 years more or less that science stopped considering it as a planet. I'm not gonna get into the details. First, because it's not interesting. Second, because I don't even remember the reasons. Probably because it's too far, and it's even smaller than some of the satellites. Okay, what satellites are you talking about, Gary? Yeah, I'm gonna get there. Let me just take a sip of water, so my throat gets better, so we can move on. Okay, so I was talking about satellites, right? Of course, there are the satellites, artificial satellites, right? Metal-made things, right? Like devices, metal-made devices. to put it in a rough way, in a pretty rough way, used to capture and pass along signals, radio signals. Again, being really, really simplistic here. But of course, when I say satellites, when I was talking about satellites, I meant natural satellites. Yeah, and what is a natural satellite if you're not much into astronomy? If astronomy is not the biggest of your interests, a natural satellite, to put it in the simplest way, is like what the moon is to Earth. The moon is to us, to our planet. Okay, it is our natural satellite. So it is a celestic body. All right, it is a celestic body. Celestial. I don't even know if that's the correct adjective right now. Let me just check on Google. Just give me 1 sec, please. Yeah, that's correct. Celestial body. That's that orbits a planet. Okay, this is a satellite. Okay, so when I was talking about Pluto, the fact that Pluto is really small and even smaller than some of Jupiter's celestial bodies, and if I'm not mistaken, it's even smaller or maybe the same size as our moon. Okay, maybe this was one of the reasons. This was the main reason why scientists stopped considering Pluto a planet. And to be honest, I'm very curious here to think like, what was it that, how do all scientists get to a consensus, like a consensus, sorry, about these things, right? I'm curious. There's probably a boarding room of scientists of the world, so they get like, hey, hands up if you consider Pluto a planet. Yeah, that's it. Anyways, but the celestial bodies I was talking about, the satellites, natural satellites, are this thing that I'm mentioning here. All right, I'm gonna go back to the natural satellites in a minute, but before that, let's talk about, when we talk about moving to other planets, there are basically two possibilities. Okay, roughly speaking. One, moving inside the solar system, going to Mars, going to the moon, or other planets or other places, or moving outside of the solar system, right? What is the main difference? The distance. When we talk about moving inside our solar system with today's technology, we're talking about 2-3 year average trip, depending on where you're going to. Let us just bring the average here. All right, when we're talking about going outside of the solar system, going to a planet outside a solar system, a inhabitable place, right? For example, if you cannot go to Jupiter, okay, or any of the gas planets, because in order for us to live on this planet, it has to be solid, okay? But anyway, so let us remember that the closest star, okay, let us also remember that the sun is a star, all right? If if you're not much into astronomy, the sun is a star. Just like the stars we see in the sky, up in the sky at night, the sun is pretty much the same thing, right? The difference is that it is pretty closer, way closer than the other stars to us, all right? So that's it. But so we're talking about going to move in order to live in planets outside of our solar system. We're talking about, remember, inside a solar system, a 2 to 3, 4, 5 year trip average. Okay, outside of the solar system, we're talking about thousands of years average. Okay, as I was saying, the closest star we have, that is Alpha Centaurus, if memory serves me well, is 4 light years away. That is, if we could get our ships to move any close to the light speed, that is 300,000 kilometers per second, it would take us 4 years to get to Alpha Centaurus. If we had this potential. We're not even close to that. Probably we're never going to be any close to that. All right. Because we're talking about the speed of the light. Okay. When I say light speed, when I say light years, it's like traveling in the speed of the light. All right. A year traveling in the light speed, in the speed of the light. So that's it. You see how much, how further away things are. All right. So how long does it take for us to get to Alpha Centaurus with the technology we have today? Well, I'm not. I don't remember exactly, but I think that's something around a couple of thousand years, or even more than a couple of thousand years. But the point here is, I'm not gonna Google it right now because the results is gonna be the same. We're gonna have to come up with today's technology, even being optimistic and thinking like, hey, 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, the ships, the space ships will be way faster, and they probably are, right? Going to be way faster than they are today, hopefully. But even though the difference is not going to be much, right? So in this case, I have to make a connection here with the movie Passengers, right? I forgot the name of the actors, but I'm not gonna Google it either, because basically I'm just gonna summarize here. You guys, if you saw that, you will remember immediately. They're on a spaceship, okay, gigantic, okay, it's a futuristic story, of course, in which they hibernate, okay, they have technology enough to hibernate and spend like thousands of years inside the spaceship, and they're going to be people are going to be woken up, okay, going to be awake, revived somehow after being hibernating, freezing, frozen hibernation, something like that. And then they got to wake up before a man gets to wake up before the time, etc., etc., and he makes a woman wake up because he falls in love with her. Okay, if you saw the movie, that's it. I'm not gonna speak any longer. Not even not to spoil your experience if you get to watch this movie. It's a very good movie. But my point here is, we're gonna have to think about something like that in order to be able to go effectively to take humans, to take people to other countries, right? Because of the distance. Other countries, sorry, my bad here, guys. To other planets, to take people to other planets, right? And why? And of course, here I'm talking about other planets outside of our solar system. Okay, so let us not talk about moving people, taking humans to planets outside of our solar system. Let's talk about taking people to the solar system. So here we have roughly, again, two options. Mars, yeah, most obvious one, and the natural satellites of some planets, okay? And why is that? Let's start with the less obvious here. What is so special with some satellites of some planets? Okay, I'm talking about here specifically about Jupiter and Saturn, okay? Because they have like tenths of natural satellites, 50, 60 natural satellites. Putting it simpler, 50 or 60 moons they have, right? Because they're gigantic. They're hundreds of times bigger than Earth, okay? And why is it so interesting about some of their natural satellites? Is that they are solid, okay? They're not gas, all right? Just like their fathers, so to say. And that's it, right? It means that there are lands, let's put it this way, in which we can potentially one day inhabit. Okay, not today, of course. We barely have technology to go to Mars today. We still haven't, as of the moment I'm recording this audio, we still haven't sent any human to Mars. Hopefully, we're close enough, but not yet, not just yet. So, but in the future, that's what we consider, okay? And talking Mars, right? It is going to be the first place. I mean, maybe the moon will be first because it's way closer. But Mars is way better because it's much bigger than the moon. There is water in there. I think that there is water in the moon too. Recently, they found out, right? But yeah, okay. But Mars is because of the gravity, because it has an atmosphere. The moon doesn't have atmosphere. And here's a characteristic, if I'm not mistaken, about natural satellites. They don't have atmosphere, and this is really bad for us thinking of staying and living on this planet, because atmosphere is our protection against some of the bad, harmful rays that the sun produces. All right. Oh yeah, that's it. So what is about Mars that we need to think when it comes to turning it into a livable place in the future, very very long future, distant future? Well, roughly speaking, again, is doing the process that they call terraformation. Okay, I'm not improvising. I'm not trying to improvise a Portuguese word here. It's called terraformation. That is basically turning into terra, turning a place into earth, right? That is bringing more water, bringing more plants to produce oxygen. There are even ideas of nuking up the planet. What is nuking up? Sending lots of nuclear weapons to Mars in order to create dust, with the explosions, from the explosions. And this dust going up to the atmosphere. Yeah, that's it. That's not theory. I mean, we didn't do that. We haven't done that yet. But if we were to like send hundreds of nuclear weapons to hit Mars, that would certainly be the outcome. There would be dust from these explosions. And it's speaking here, it's a pretty dusty planet, anyways. And all this dust would go up to the atmosphere and make the atmosphere thicker. Okay, bigger, putting in these terms. All right. And consequently better to us, okay? Because one of the problems of Mars is that it has an atmosphere, but it is too thin, okay? So lots of sun, harmful ray beams. I don't even know if I'm bringing it the right way, but anyways, you guys understand me. Will still be harmful to us and harmful to life on the planet, right? So we have a thicker atmosphere. We need water. We need plants in there. If we do all these things, boom, we turn Mars on Earth, on a similar to Earth planet in a couple of centuries, okay? This is the theory. What is the problem? In practice, this is really hard. Like, we can barely send people there yet, okay? Let alone tons of water, tons of plants, The way we are with technology, it would be a 1,000,000-year process, right? In 1,000,000 year, we could start having some results, right? But this is all theory. The thing is, we still have to wait for the man to set foot on Earth, on Mars first. And I'm gonna be here, world, eagerly waiting for this moment, which I will celebrate a lot. And who knows, in the future we may get to be living there. Not me, not you, certainly not me, not you, but our grand kids. All right. And if you're hearing this in the future and any of my predictions got right, word up, dog. Daddy knows what he's talking about. Big hugs. And that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so very much for your lovely company. I see you in the next one. Bye bye.